Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
We've talked about fake lawyers before, and there's something fascinating about it. And I always enjoy a good hoax. I don't want to be a victim of a hoax, but when I hear about them, I don't know why, but they fascinate me. Michael passed a story along to me, and this is a couple years old, but it's out of the Kansas City Star, written by Ian Cummings. He went to court as a lawyer, but cops say he's a fake and a felon. For years, Reginald Taylor appeared to be a lawyer. He had a framed law degree. He went to court to plea bargain with the city prosecutor, and he met with clients dressed as an attorney. Do you think he wore a moose jaw shirt? I'm just curious. That's how the attorneys I know dress. Taylor is not an attorney according to court records that describe him as a convicted felon and accuse him of running a fake law office out of his home. Now the 40-year-old is in court as a defendant charged in Jackson County with forgery and practicing law without a license, which it turns out is against the law. And a lawyer could tell you that. It's just a question whether a fake lawyer would know that. He was arrested and accused of impersonating a lawyer in Blue Springs and Grandview city courts. Court clerks became suspicious of him after he bounced a check paying a fine for a client, according to the police. There's several problems with that, one of which is if he's writing a personal check in his own name to the court, that's probably not kosher. But second of all, attorneys who bounce checks can get in trouble simply for the act of bouncing a check. So Taylor had met with Grandview prosecutor and had his client's drug paraphernalia charge reduced to a fine for littering, which is actually not a bad deal. It's when you hear about somebody who's faking something and they do a good job while they're faking it. So he got the drug paraphernalia charge dropped down to littering, but that involved a $229 fine, which he then went to pay with a check of his own that bounced. In a recent interview, the prosecutor said he didn't remember Taylor specifically, but wouldn't have had any reason to question his standing. The city prosecutor might meet with 40 or more lawyers every day and doesn't check the bar credentials of each one. And that's true. But one thing I can tell you is that when you file documents with a court, you file a thing called an appearance. An appearance is a document that simply says, I am appearing in court on behalf of this person. And the appearance says a bunch of information, including the attorney's contact information, the name, address, phone number, and bar number. So I, as an attorney, have a bar number in Michigan. Okay, and so simply putting that information there, if he did this, he would have had to either make up a bar number or leave one off. I suspect he probably made one up if he filed any paperwork, but you never know. So he came in dressed in a suit and represented himself as a lawyer, Potter said. It was the clerks who dug into it and they pointed him out. Potter's the prosecutor. He said he can only think of one or two times this has happened in his 25 years with the court. When a court supervisor tried to call Taylor about his bounced check, she reached a lawn care business where a woman who answered the phone turned out to be Taylor's mother. Well, maybe his mom is his secretary and he's got a lawn service and a law service. All it takes is that extra N that you just put in the middle of the parentheses. When reached by phone, Taylor first denied being in court, but then agreed he'd been there after being told all he needed to do was write a valid check. Court staffers then checked his credentials and found out that he had given a Missouri bar number that belonged to another attorney. Later in Blue Springs, a court administrator said Taylor had done the same thing there. Once police started digging, they found that Taylor had a criminal record that stretched back to 1999, including convictions for fraud, forgery, drug possession, and auto theft. And I would speculate, and I admit this is speculation, but having spent that much time in courts and observing how everything operates, maybe he thought, gee, I could do this. I could do that. Maybe one day he'll show up and be a fake court reporter, or maybe he'll be a fake judge. That'd be cool. Taylor's client in the Grandview case told police that the two men lived together and that he'd hired Taylor to represent him in court in Grandview, Belton, and Blue Springs. The man said Taylor claimed to be an attorney. He said he had seen Taylor meet with other clients and that he had a framed law degree. And that framed law degree, that proves a lot. A professional social media post advertising him as a lawyer lists the University of Missouri Kansas City Law School in his education credentials, but university officials found no record of him ever attending the school. The extent of his law practice is unclear, except that he doesn't have a law practice. He has a fake law practice, the extent of which is also unclear. But a Facebook page called the Law Offices of Reginald Taylor was created in May of 2013, and this story was published in 2016. The page advertises the law office as a general law firm providing help to those in need. personal injury, construction accidents, contracts, and traffic DUI and DWI. Construction accidents. They're not funny. It's just in that mix of things. Contracts. Like this guy's, he's qualified to write a contract for you. The listed address of the law office matched a small house in Grandview. Police found Taylor practicing law and living in another house in Grandview when he was arrested. A lawyer representing Taylor declined to comment on the case. The question, of course, is that a real lawyer or not? 2 people reviewed the law office on the Facebook page, one giving it 5 stars and the other 3. A post offered a piece of upbeat news and said, "We just increased productivity and the size of our support staff. We're fortunate enough to be able to purchase some up-to-date office equipment from Micro Center." So there's a little plug there. Another post showed a t-shirt bearing the name of the law office and a phone number that is now out of service. I'll admit, I own a lot of t-shirts. I do not have one yet that says Law Office of Steve Lehto. I don't have one. I've got one that says Lehto's Law. I've got one that says Remember Milo and Wolfie. I've got one that says Heaven Forbid a Toyota. I've got the one that says I sue people for fun. I do not have one that says Law Office of Steve Lehto. Grandview Municipal Court officials said Taylor appeared in their court as an attorney only once. Kansas City Municipal Court officials said they had no record of Taylor appearing as an attorney there. Court officials in Blue Springs said their records did not show whether Taylor appeared in court or not, more than the one time alleged by prosecutors. Belton court officials said Taylor had tried to sign in as an attorney once last year, but court clerks became suspicious that he wasn't already in their records and they notified the police. It's unclear whether police plan to pursue those charges. Across the country, some cases of people pretending to be lawyers have made the news, and we've talked about them many times here on Lehto's Law. In 2010, federal prosecutors accused an Orlando, Florida man of creating a fraudulent law firm complete with office staff, attorneys, and locations in Atlanta and Los Angeles, all as part of a fraud for which he was sentenced to 3 years in prison. In 2011, a Skokie, Illinois man accused of representing as many as 60 clients without a law license was sentenced to 2 years in prison. He said he learned much of what he knew about law from watching television and from his own criminal past. That's what the prosecutors alleged. He charged between $500 and $4,500 per case. The question is, did he watch Perry Mason or did he watch Judge Judy? Because you get 2 totally different things from those shows. Okay, if you're going to learn the law from television, okay, I'd recommend Perry Mason, not Judge Judy. Or Lehto's Law. Binge watch all 900 of my episodes. You probably know more than this guy. One client told the Chicago Tribune about the Skokie man and said he sounded like an attorney. He met with the state's attorneys before the judge came out, all of that. He walked around the courtroom like he was a hotshot, strutting around, you know. That really made me think the guy was a lawyer. I'm going to tell you right now, if you see me in court, you'll see me wearing a suit and a tie. But I ain't strutting around, nor am I acting like a hotshot. And trust me on that. Actually, most attorneys aren't. You'll see a couple of them, but we have another word for those. Starts with a D and ends with bag. In Missouri, or Missouri, as they say, misdeeds by lawyers are investigated by an agency of the Missouri Supreme Court called the Office of Chief Disciplinary Counsel. The office does not track the number of people practicing without a license, but it does respond to complaints from clients and can pursue offenders through civil and criminal courts, said Alan Pratzel, Chief Disciplinary Counsel for the state. There are some people who think the law is an easy way to make money off of someone in need. This is, to me, one of the worst types of consumer fraud. We do have the authority to take action to make them stop. Anyone who believes they are a victim of misconduct by an attorney or a person pretending to be an attorney in Missouri can make a report to the Office of Disciplinary Counsel by visiting mochiefcounsel.org or by calling their office. And, of course, like I said, most states have similar laws and regulations making it so that you cannot practice law without a license. And I know some people get really bent out of shape and they say, but wait, what's the difference between somebody giving advice to somebody because they've been through something or somebody practicing law without a license versus whatever? That's another story altogether. But here the key is these people were actually saying, I am an attorney. Let me take your money and help you in that order. And if you are not an attorney, you cannot claim to be one. You cannot say that to another person and take their money, nor can you go to court and pretend to be an attorney and commit fraud in the court that way. So again, he went to court as a lawyer while cops say he was a fake and a felon, and he's just one of the many fake attorneys we've encountered here discussing these things on Lehto's Law. Questions or comments? Put them below. Otherwise, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching Lehto's Law. And no, I'm not a robot.